Hi everybody, back again with another one of the CD videos where I'm talking about my CD collection. I haven't done one in a few days. I've been on vacation, but just that life gets busy and I don't get around to doing videos like this. But here I am. And today I'm talking about the Beastie Boys. I'm happy to talk about this because this is a band that, really great band. And I wish they were still making music, but unfortunately MCA passed away. Was it 2013 he passed away? And of course that he was such a huge part of the group that was the end of it. They've basically Mike D and Ad Rock have retired since then. But the journey with the Beastie Boys started with this album, License to Ill. My journey with the Beastie Boys. I don't have that single called Cookie Puss that they did as it was a prank, I guess. I don't know all the details about that, but I don't have it. This is the first Beastie Boys album that I own. This one came out when I was in the last year of elementary school, so I think it came out late '86, early '87, I think. It was just before I started high school. And I didn't have the album. I didn't buy it when it came out. But I did have a next door neighbor who was in a band, a garage band, that played that song frequently. That's one of the only songs they knew. The band was called FBR. And I never really got a straight answer as to why they were called FBR. But if I remember correctly, one of the members worked at Baskin Robbins, so that might have something to do with it. Anyway, this is a brilliant album and a brilliant debut for any group. Um, the first track, Rhymin' and Stealin', they mixed up, they mashed up the drum beat from When the Levee Breaks by Led Zeppelin, John Bonham's big crashing drums, with Tony Iommi's guitar riff in Sweet Leaf by Black Sabbath. To take those two things and mix them together so perfectly is just genius. Um, anyway, there's some other tracks on here. Obviously, "Fight for Your Right" was a big hit, and that was the one that I knew. "Brass Monkey," Paul Revere, "No Sleep Till Brooklyn," uh, "She's Crafty." All great songs. "Girls" it was a hit. Like, people loved it, but it's misogynist and this album hasn't aged very well. But when you look at other stuff that came out around 1986, I think Eddie Murphy Delirious might have come out around 84, 85, I think. But I watched that with my wife about a year ago, and that hasn't aged particularly well either. But they grew after this. Um, they no longer explored misogyny as a form of humor. Um, and after that was Paul's Boutique, which I don't have a copy of. I didn't buy that one. I wasn't a huge Beastie Boys fan. Like I said, I didn't own that one. I didn't own License to Ill until much later. Paul's Boutique came out, and it wasn't a huge commercial hit, but for people that were really into hip hop, that was a really monumental album. They the rhymes got more complex. There were more samples put in. I think it was the album that had more samples than any other album at that point. To the point where it was like there'd be such little small parts that were mashed together that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on exactly what everything was. Um, the When I was in high school, this was after Paul's Boutique came out. A friend of mine who got me into a lot of music mentioned that he was excited because the Beastie Boys had a new album coming out, and I thought, for once, I'm going to get that album before he does. So I went to the record store and I bought it on cassette. And this is the album here, Beastie Boys, Check Your Head. I think this was 91 or 92, 1992. And this is one of my favorite albums of all time. Definitely my favorite Beastie Boys album. I love how at the beginning of the album they sample Cheap Trick. They sample Cheap Trick saying, "This next song is the first song on our new album," which is on their Live at Budokan album, I believe. And then Funky Boss is one of my favorite tracks on here. It's such a great track. They sample, I didn't discover this until my wife got me the first season of Saturday Night Live, but there's a sample of Richard Pryor doing a bit that a routine. I think it was called Brother on Acid, and it was he just does an imitation of a guy taking acid at a party and tripping out. But they throw that sample in, and Pass the Mic was a big hit. You know, I remember that was released as a single and a video. And I love there's a fuzz bass tone that they have through many songs on this album, including the samples, but like they were jamming. And you can see in the liner notes here, there's a, I think it's on here. Yeah, this is them in their jam room, in their practice space. You know, you got, who's that on the keyboards there? I don't know who's playing keyboards on there. Mario C on the keyboards. You got Mike D on the drums over here. And MCA on the bass. And you got Ad Rock on the guitar. I remember seeing this picture and thinking, these are the coolest guys ever. And apparently what they did was they actually rented a warehouse and built the space so that they could record their music on their own time schedule. And they basically taught themselves how to play. They were playing hardcore and stuff, but they got into jazz and funk and everything else on this album. And it is just genius. Gratitude is still one of my favorite songs of theirs. Lighten Up is such a great song. Finger Lickin'. So What You Want, man. The Biz versus the Nuge. They have Biz Markie, rest in peace, Biz Markie, singing along with a sample from Ted Nugent, which is cool. Something's Got to Give. It's just a whole vibe through this whole album. It's one of those albums that I put on and I just listen to from beginning to end. And then I got this one, The Mix Up. Got this one when I worked at Value Village. It's mostly instrumentals. I think the whole thing is instrumentals, but it is great. Just putting this on, it's something that you don't really have to focus on too much, but you can just enjoy it and chill out if you're doing something else or if you just want to sit back and enjoy it. This one here is Root Down. This one I wasn't as into, but it's got some good stuff like Heart Attack Man, Time to Get Ill, Flute Loop, a different version of Time for Living. Anyway, MCA, he looks so cool in this picture. I miss MCA. He was great. So that's my Beastie Boys collection. I also have Check Your Head on cassette. That's how I started off, was collecting cassettes. And I still have it. But for some reason I picked up the CD as well. There's some albums I love so much that I buy it whenever I see it, whether I already own it or not. I figure if it's in better shape than the one I have, then I'll keep it. If it's in equal shape or whatever, or I want to give it away to somebody, then fantastic. It's like, you got to hear this album, and I don't care if I get it back or not. Hopefully that those albums that I give out takes root in somebody's brain and makes their lives better. That's my hope when I share music, is that it enriches somebody's life the way that it's enriched mine, or in a different way that it's enriched mine. But when you find something you like, you want to share it. So that's why I'm doing this series and I'm talking about music. I've also been busy doing some music video work. My band Not Really has a song called Worried About You. It's the first song on the album that we came out with in 2019, right before we had to put everything on hold, you know. So it's released, it's online and stuff, but I want to make a music video for it. So I'm learning how to do that with Stop Motion Studio. So if you want to subscribe to the channel, you'll see that when it's done. It shouldn't be too much longer. I've got quite a few scenes already done. That is, I think that's all I've got right now, because I don't have any more Beastie Boys albums. I got to get Ill Communication. I got to get so many more of theirs. So if there's a favorite that you have that I'm missing and you're like, start with that one, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'll check it out. I have Spotify and I have YouTube and I have all those other things. So I can check out music and I can decide whether I want to purchase it when there's a fly buzzing around. I can decide whether I want to purchase it when the opportunity comes. I love going into a record store and just seeing something and it's like, yeah, there's one that I want. Rather than going and looking for something specific, you just fumble on it when it comes your way. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. Should I give you a preview of what I'm going to talk about next time? Why not? It's going to be the Beatles. It's going to be the Beatles. Perhaps you've heard of them. Anyway, I'll see you then. Hopefully I don't ramble and talk too much nonsense, but it's just talking about music. It's like dancing about architecture. Have a great day.